Hey guys, time to do, I believe it's block 9 of our all seasons quilt. So for September, yes, losing track of my days, we are doing the schoolhouse block. Now, there's a lot of little pieces on this. I would highly recommend that you label your pieces, just because so many of them are very close in size, just to keep from getting mixed up. But there's like 21 or 22 pieces, so it's a lot, and there's a lot of little pieces. Just label them and you should be fine. We're basically going to do this row by row, so it should go pretty easily, hopefully. I'm not going to read off all the pieces. They'll be on the pattern in the Dropbox link, or if you're in Peggy's quilting group, she'll have it in the file. So to start with, what we're going to need is our piece D, pieces I, and C. So I'm going to set this up here. So my pieces D are the blue. My pieces C is just one piece of the blue, and I, which is my little blocks here. Now this is, like I said, a lot of little pieces, so just take your time on your 1/4 inch seam and you should be fine. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a, that is D, isn't it? Yes, okay, I couldn't read my handwriting. We're going to take a D piece. I'm going to bend you down here so that you can see how I'm laying this out. We're going to D piece there, and then an I. This is going to be one of our little chimneys. It's going to go there. Then C is going to go in the center, and then another chimney, and our last D piece. So we'll have a long row just like that. All right, hopefully you can see that. I'll bend you up here. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to kind of turn this all around here like this so that it stays right there. And I'm just going to sew it piece to piece and just keep adding. So I'm going to start with these two. So they go like this, flip this way so I don't get confused. And like I said, these are little tiny pieces, so make sure your 1/4 inch is, you know, pretty much spot on, because it'll show. And you may want to back stitch a little just to keep them from coming apart. All right, and then I'm going to finger press this to the dark side, and I'm going to add my next piece. And then finger press that to the darker side. And then our next little chimney goes on there. Chimney, however you say it. Just line it up. Take your time. Okay, and that one goes to the dark. And then our last piece. Now this video is probably going to be pretty long. Just simply because there's so many steps in this. Maybe I can condense it, hopefully. That way I don't bore you guys. Okay, and press that to the darker, and then we're going to press this little row here. So I'm going to turn you around here. And since it's such little pieces, I'm going to come in from the back first, and that way I can make sure these are going the direction that I want them to go. And then I will flip it over and straighten it up, make sure it's straight, and then just give it a good press. And since these are small and like it kind of wanting to curve and whatever, you could spray starch this a little bit just to help. So this is our very top row, so this is going to be row 1. Yes, row 1. Okay. Okay, so for our next row, we're going to need the piece K, which is going to be our roof top for your house, and then the 2 B pieces, which are actually 3.5 inch squares. These are my sky fabric, which is what it calls it on the pattern. But like I said, you can look at the diagram and the pattern. They're very easy. These, we're basically going to snowball, whoops, the corners of this house. If I quit throwing stuff around. I mean, yeah, rooftop. So we're going to come in here like this on this one. And these need to be going opposite directions, if that makes sense, so that you get the rooftop. You see what I'm saying? They're going opposite directions. So I've just folded them over and ironed it in half. And I am going to, just so that I don't get mixed up, I'm going to clip this right here while I sew this other one on. So you could draw a line, you know, use diagonal seam tape, whatever your preference is. Just make sure that when you have them on there, they're going in opposite directions. Okay, and then just stitch right on that line. Okay, and then I'm going to do this side. And see, since I already had it clipped, all I have to do is straighten it up. And it's just easy peasy. I do that a lot of times just to make sure I don't get my angles, because I'm on the angles sometimes I'm not very good. And I get twisted around really easily. Okay, so then when we open them up, yep, so I'm going to iron these open and trim this back off, leaving a 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so I've got an iron, so I'm going to go ahead and place this right under my row. Oh, my chimneys are not going to line up. Huh. Oh, I bet they will when I sew. I was sitting here looking at this and I was like, this is overhanging here, but when you sew that 1/4 inch seam together, okay, just lay it up there. There's your chimneys. Okay, so then our next piece of fabric is our G fabric, which is just a strip. So it's just going to go in here like this. So I'm just going to lay it there for right now. Okay, so here comes the fun part. This is going to be our windows and walls for our house. So we're going to need the A pieces and the J pieces. You should have 5 J's and 4 A's. And we're going to sew them together and alternate them. Now you could strip piece this and then cut them, but I didn't want to figure out, I was too lazy to figure out what sizes I would need with the seam allowance and all that, so I just did it by the pattern. So we're going to start with our J is going to go on the outside. Let me pull you back here. So J on the outside, this is my window, then a J, and we're just going to alternate them all the way and make a long strip. Oops. Okay, A, J, A. There should be 4 windows to your little schoolhouse. Okay, then this, and I think I'm going to go ahead and turn mine this away just so, but I think what I'm going to do now that I kind of got an idea of which way that's going, is I can chain piece some of this. One, two, three, four, five. How did I got 6 J pieces here. Okay, I just didn't. All right, so then a J and an A, and then it'll finish out with a J. Okay, so what I'm going to do is chain piece these in sets of 2 here, and then I can put them all together, just make it that much quicker. So let's go like this. And the next set. I don't usually mess with these little tiny pieces on blocks too much, but I liked this one. And Peggy showed it to me. I was like, yeah, I think I can do that. Okay, I have them all sewn together. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my 5th J piece to the end of one of these, just to finish off this row. And then I can put these together and press it. So I'm just going to finger press for right now. I will come in and iron. And I'm going to press mine to the dark since I'm using white and red together. That red would really show. Alright, then we just piece these together. It's just easy peasy. So make sure your J starts there. This is my last one, and this one goes here. So we'll just go down through here. these together to make a row. I just got to keep placing it up there. I mean, it shouldn't be very hard, but it is for me to figure these out sometimes, so. Alright. Okay, and that one goes there. So there is our windows for our schoolhouse. So let's go over here and get this pressed. Okay, so in the pattern, she had for the J fabric, which is this red here, she has 1.2, and I thought it was 1.25. I think it's 1.5 by 2.5, 1.25. Which would make more sense. So I corrected the pattern. So instead of redoing this whole row, I'm just going to sew some little red pieces on here, and I'll trim it, you know, to match this, just to save from having to recut and re-sew all of that. But so you might check, you know, because like I said, all of this should come out the same size. So I'll just sew a couple little red strips on there to fix that on mine. But I did fix the pattern, so 1.5 by 2.5. So if these are 1.5 inches and these are 1.75 inches, that would come up to 10.5 once it was sewn together. So let me get this fixed. Okay, so I added some strips on mine to fix it, but your measurements and the pattern should be right. So all of my stuff is lining up currently. I was looking at that, I was like, why is that so short? I know my seam allowance isn't off that far, my goodness. All right, so then the next piece is your, I believe this is H. Yes. It's going to go right here at the bottom. I'm going to have to move all of this up just a little bit. Okay, so it's just a single strip right there. So then the next thing that we're going to need is the E pieces and our F piece, which is going to be the door. This is the door, and this is the sides of our building, and this is really simple. Just sew that door right into the center there, so long ways. Take this over here and get it ironed. All right, so we're going to iron this up, and since these are both dark, it won't matter. And sorry about my birds in the background, they're just kind of carrying on for whatever reason. Okay, so now we can sew all this together row by row. So I'm just going to sew row by row and get it until I get it all together. So this is going to go on here. So, I don't know if you guys want to watch me sew it or not, but here we go. And yeah, the birds, I don't know why they're going nutty. They're just being nuts. Okay. Okay, and I'm just going to finger press this up open and just bring my next row up here and just keep adding them on. Okay, so my next row is actually this single strip. Okay, then my windows. All right, so I'm going to keep adding this, and I will meet you back here right before I iron it. Okay, I've got it all sewn together, so I'm just fixing to iron it. And I'm going to, again, go from the back, just kind of get everything the way I want it. And let's see which way I had that one going up. Okay, now we can flip it over. Okay, there we go. So we'll get her good and flat. Now this is only 10.5. We need our block to come out to 12.5. So we're gonna add to it and then just trim it down. All right, so I'm gonna add, and Peggy suggested this, which I think is a great idea, this sky fabric around the sides. And so I've got some of that here, and I just made long strips because I'm going to trim it all down anyway. I had to sew a couple of these together because I just didn't have anything long enough. But I'm just going to sew these on the sides like this. And then I've got green for the grass for the very bottom, like that. So, yeah, I think I'll start with this one on the bottom and the top, and then I'll add the sides. So we'll iron it and trim it up. All right, so I'm just gonna start right here. That's another good thing too, you know, with all these little tiny pieces, if everything kind of comes out wonky because of the way we're doing this, don't fret over it too much because we are going to trim it up. Nothing has to be, you know, like exact or perfect because thankfully we are trimming it and, you know, we can make it work. So if your stuff comes out a little bit wonky, don't get too excited about it. Okay, and I'm just going to do a rough, whoops, I'm just dropping stuff everywhere. Just a rough cut on this and just get this out of my way. Mercy mate. And then I will add this other sky piece. I don't know why I made this so long. It was almost going to fit, but I want that seam to be kind of in the middle, so I'll start in the middle. So I'm going to, actually I think I'll lay this on my mat here and use my ruler to chop these off while they're, before I, just so they're even there. It would be helpful if I opened it. I'm not always the brightest tool in the shed. What can I say? And we'll go here. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and press these, and then I will add my sides. This is such a cute block. I don't know, it's supposed to be a schoolhouse. Mine looks kind of like a barn. Oh well, we're rolling with it. All right, let me get the sides put on here. Okay, I brought you up to my table. So we've got our everything on there. It's ironed. You want it as flat as you can possibly get it. Now I have a 12.5-inch ruler, square ruler. So if you have one, that will be very helpful. If you don't, I'm fixing to show you what we can do. So I'm going to center this house. So your house, from this side to this side, should be, that is 10 inches in between. So that would be the center this away. Then you can decide how much above your chimneys and how much grass you want. So I'm just going to go up. So if you just had a 10-inch ruler, you would need at least a 10. You know, you could come out an inch from this side out this way and 1 inch from this side out this way, you know, to be able to make sure that your block is centered. So I want my chimneys up here. I want a little bit of those, and I want some grass down here. Got everything centered. And it looks like about 1 inch here and 1 inch here also. So, yeah. So 1 inch all the way around. So then I'm just going to cut on this side first. And I will also cut across the top. All right, and then I'm going to turn the whole block around. And then I've got clean lines I can line my ruler up with. And should be 12.5. And I've still got just 1 inch from this side to this edge here. So we're good to go. Yes, okay. So now all I've got to do, it actually looks like I have a little bit more. Let me see. Maybe I looked at that wrong. Oh, I do. What did I do wrong there? See, when I put it on there this way, oh, my ruler's got the 1/2 inch. I didn't allow for that. That's all right. I'm going with it. Anyway, that's my block. So it looks more like a barn than a schoolhouse, but I'm going with it. All right, see y'all. So as you saw, I had a hard time squaring up. I had forgot to allow the 1/2 inch on my ruler. I didn't really want to redo the whole entire video, so but I'm not redoing my block. I am going with it. I mean, it's not that noticeable, really. It's only 1/2 inch. So, but when you're squaring yours, you might want to take that into consideration, since I had a 1/2 inch. So it should have been 1 1/4 inch from each side of your building. From each side here, it should have been 1 1/4 is what I should have measured out. So, don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, there's that. I will try to get the video for our Eleanor Burns done. I don't know if I'll get it today or tomorrow, but I'll try to get it uploaded for sure this week sometime. And there we go. So block 9 for September is the schoolhouse, because all the kids are going back to school. And yeah, there we go. Have a great day, guys.